Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Ask Coach Marie. I'm Marie O'Neill, founder of Padma Life Coaching and your host on this series. This is the place where you ask a question and I give my unique opinion as a life renewal coach, astrologer, and past life regression facilitator. Please know that I am not a therapist and I will never tell you what you must do. Each week on Fridays, a new video is released with me answering 2 questions from the viewers. In addition to those questions, I talk about various other life renewal topics. Let's go ahead and get started with the questions for this week. All right, our first question comes from Daryl, who is in Vancouver, Washington. Daryl writes, I had a job interview a couple of weeks ago for a position as a lab tech and haven't heard back. I've been wondering if I should follow up with an email or phone call. What do you think? Thank you for asking that question, Daryl. Yes, it's a good idea to follow up. It's always a good idea to follow up when you've had a job interview. I don't know if you went in for face-to-face job interview or you interviewed through video or over the phone. In any of those situations, it's always good to send out an email thanking the person who interviewed you for the actual interview. It's just common courtesy, actually, to do that. In addition to that, if the person who you interviewed with didn't tell you when you were going to hear back, give it a couple of weeks for sure, and then reach out and just say you're following up. You want to make sure that when you're following up, that your email, it's not aggressive or assertive or pressuring the person to reply. You're just being kind and asking for an update. It's better if you reach out via email because so many people are really, really busy and they may not pick up the phone or listen to their messages right away. Another thing that I see or have seen is people aren't sending thank you cards as much anymore. And one of the ways you can have yourself stand out when you're interviewing is send a thank you card, not an email generated thank you card, but one that you actually go out and purchase and hand write to the interviewer and mail it to them so that they have that. That's really going to help you. When I was looking for work many, many years ago, that was something that was just natural that we did. But what I'm understanding today with people is that they're just not doing that much anymore. And I know, when you're interviewing, you do want to stand out. You do want to be seen as differentiating yourself from the other candidates. And that's a way to do it. So yes, I would certainly reach out a couple of weeks later. And if you still don't hear anything, wait a few more weeks and then reach out again until you get a reply. So yes, please, by all means, reach out. All right. The topic for today is lucid dreaming. Now, why am I talking about lucid dreaming and what is it? First of all, let's talk about what it is. Lucid dreaming is when you are asleep and you're dreaming, but you are aware that you are dreaming. And in some cases, you're so aware that you're dreaming that you're able to affect the dream. You're able to do something in the dream to change it consciously, which is absolutely wonderful when you can do that, because when we are dreaming or when we're asleep, we're in what's called the little death. And that's a Native American term, and it's also used in Buddhism. It's a state of mind that we are experiencing without the body. When we cross over, we of course shed the body, and what we have left is the mind. And so every night when we go to sleep, we're going through a mini death or little death. How we experience that particular time frame of when we're asleep, that's going to affect us when we actually have the big sleep and what happens in that particular bardo. And a bardo, it's an in-between state, in between this incarnation and actually being on the other side. If you can work on lucid dreaming and developing lucid dreaming skills, then that's going to help you with the dying process. Lucid dreaming also is a way to resolve issues and find answers to problems that we have in our daily life. If you're working on a particular issue with someone, maybe you have a conversation with them when you're dreaming. You're having a conversation with their dream body and working out the issue. I believe it was Einstein. He said that when he had a problem or he was working on a problem, sometimes he'd take a nap, and it would not be a deep sleep, but just kind of a dozing type sleep, so that he would then be able to get the solution. When we're dreaming, we're in REM sleep, which is a lighter level of sleep, and that's where he was going when he was taking a nap. Lucid dreaming can be used to resolve a lot of different issues, to come up with answers and solutions. It's a good way to talk to our loved ones on the other side, too. But anyway, there's a lot of information out here on lucid dreaming. And if you're interested, I would certainly recommend that you find a course with an organization or person who is legitimate. And I say legitimate because a lot of scams out here. So do your homework. I know that a lot of the Buddhist organizations have lucid dreaming classes. Another name for it is dream yoga. And so you can look it up that way too. So I hope that benefits you. All right, the final question for today comes from Tabitha, who is in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Tabitha says, most of my life I've been able to feel when someone is in the room, even if I don't see them. I'm so terrified of the possibility of seeing someone who is dead that I don't want to be alone. How do I get over this fear? Tabitha, that's a very good question, and thank you. Thank you for asking it, because I know that you're probably not the only one who has this issue. I mean, a lot of people can feel energy, but just not know what they're feeling. This is an issue that I had for decades, from a little kid until I was definitely in my 40s. And I'm hoping that you don't have it that long. What happens is we're not taught about energy. We're not taught about that there are beings on the other side, or that they can be there and we're not able to see them. Usually when a person is there and you feel them, they're there for a particular reason. They either want to get a message to you, or they're there to say hello, or they're there to check in on you, and they're not there to do any harm. And at the same time, for those of us who are incarnate in physical form, we are scared out of our wits about having them materialize in front of us. And this just goes to inexperience, not having practice with that energy. You do need to start doing a lot of research on death and dying, and if you can, take classes on it, so that you can slowly start to rid yourself of the fear. For me, even though I knew about the other side and I could talk to the other side, especially in meditation and dreaming and that sort of thing, I still did not want to see anybody who was from the other side. I mean, let me tell you, that is not something I've ever wanted to see. And at the same time, I have. And it's quite startling when it first happens. So my advice to you is to ask whoever is there in front of you, if you can feel them there, tell them, that you're afraid. I mean, they can usually feel that you're afraid because our loved ones on the other side, believe it or not, they know what we're going through. They feel it, they sense it. So you can let them know that you're not prepared to actually see them. You can also talk to your guides and let them know, please don't have anybody come into the room. And one other thing, our loved ones can actually come visit us without us knowing it. They can come in our dreams. And so you can always ask them to please don't come during the day. Come when I'm asleep and talk to me then. Let them know that you're afraid. They can come during the day and kind of cloak their energy. I have no clue how they do this. However, they can come and be around you and you not feel them. If you are feeling them, it's because you're sensitive to that energy, because they are around a lot of times and most people don't feel when somebody is in the room with them. The other thing you can do is when someone crosses or dies, you can have a conversation with them. One of the other things that I did to rid myself of the fear is when my grandfather died. I went to his funeral, of course, and I forced myself to touch him. And the reason that I was able to do that is because I knew he loved me unconditionally. And so I knew he wouldn't harm me. And I had absolutely no fear of him. So I touched him, and that just started the phase of being able to rid myself of the fear. It was just a slow process of getting over the fear. I was so afraid that I couldn't even sleep in the house by myself. When my husband would go away, I'd have a friend come and stay with me because I just couldn't be alone. Now, I don't have that issue today, but it was a slow process. I feel for you going through this, and I also know that it can be resolved and you can resolve the issue. And sometimes it's also a matter of you getting over your own abilities, your own skills. This is a gift to be able to feel when someone is there. And that's something that has to be explored and worked on. So I hope that helps. Anyway, we have come to the end of the questions for this week. I do appreciate everyone who is listening to these videos or watching the videos. I appreciate all of your support. I appreciate the questions that you send me. If you have questions, send them to padmacoach@icloud.com. That's padmacoach@icloud.com. Be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube station. That definitely helps me to get these videos out to other people. So I appreciate that. If you're interested in learning about my services or the book, please check out my websites, which are also listed in the comments section. I will see you back here next week. Bye-bye.